improvisation. And I remember when I first started, it just seemed like this big thing. It was just, where do I begin and how do I get started? And you want to know something, you go to the source. So I asked the older jazz musicians, I said, well, how do you get started? They said, well, you need to learn the licks of the great masters. And I said, well, I don't want to sound like anyone else. I wanted to have my own way of expressing myself.
I've created a voice from listening to so many saxophone players, from Cannonball Adderley to Johnny Hodges, John Coltrane. I've listened to many different saxophone players. All those sounds are in my ear. And so what I'm trying to create is my own conception of that. It has to have a texture that I feel is my voice. A lot of young people think of jazz as just, I just play what I want to play. And you really do have to imitate, learn the language, emulate, study it, become immersed in it, and then you can create from that.
You might not remember this, but when you were a kid, your way of communicating for the first 2 years of your life resembled your parents. You listened to them speak, you even told their jokes, you picked up on the language. And jazz is the same way. I'll give you an example. There's a great bass player named Paul Chambers, and he had a lick that went like this. So I learned that lick. And then the next thing you know, I listened to Ray Brown, and he had a lick that went like this. But then I had to figure out how to make those licks my lick. So here's my taking those two guys' licks and making my lick. Don't be afraid to imitate, because here's the thing. Can you imagine if I told you that you can't say anything unless you come up with original idea? How far do you think you'll get in our conversation? Not very far. So music, jazz particularly, is the same way. You have to steal the master's licks and make them your own.